Lisa, we good in Payson?
Yeah, we're good.
And we're good on YouTube, Joseph? Okay. So, welcome to this morning's work session, Tuesday, June 27th. It's a little after 10. And I'll call this to order. And Carrie, you want to lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to number 2, regular agenda items. 2A, information discussion regarding an update on the Tri-City Regional Sanitary District Sewer Project. And we have Robert Jacque and Mike Cripps. So, whichever one of you is going to take the lead. Mike, good morning.
Thank you. Good morning. And I'd first like to just say thank you for the opportunity to give you an update. I think the timing has been good, and thank you, Michael, for reaching out to us. So I have up here, I don't really have a big presentation. I am going to spend some time walking through where we are in different parts and pieces of the project. And the map is the map of the phasing of the project, just as a reminder. And I guess first what I'd like to do is give you a little bit of an update on phases 2 and 3. But before I do that, I just want to say that as I'm going through this, if this is a work session and I think how it works, questions, please ask as we're going through it. Interactive always makes it more productive for everyone, I think. So I would welcome that. And again, thank you. I just want to say thank you to the county for your support of the project, and your staff has just been fabulous working with, and doing everything they can to help us with the project. So, and we've had many challenges. So, and they'll continue for a little bit, I'm sure, but we're getting close. So on phases 2 and 3, I want to just update you on the status and where we are with phase 2 and 3. The application and the reports that are needed, the environmental as well as the engineering report, has been submitted to USDA and approved. And then the next step for them is the underwriting for the funding. That's the purpose of going to USDA, is get the funding. And that underwriting has been completed, at least locally at the state level. And all the information right now is at national office in DC for the funding. And I would anticipate, their year ends in August, starts September 1st. And I think I have that right, or is it October 1st? But so I would anticipate sometime between now and October, hopefully sooner, that we would hear something from USDA on that funding. So, and just so you know that we were asking approximately, the documentation was $35 million for both phases. The cost had gone up dramatically since we originally did some preliminary estimates in 18-19. And on that pricing, so you know too, we work really closely with USDA to use unit pricing that they have been seeing on projects and things like that. And so that was one of the reasons, again, that it got escalated as much as it did. So any questions on that?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, if I may. And also too, the map, it's a good thing that we have it and show the different phases. But also too, in the map, that could change some as you start developing the plant, because the town of Miami has customers in their demographics that they can't furnish sewer to, as well as the city of Globe has people in their demographics that they can't furnish sewer to. So when you start into phase 2 and 3, you can also be able to perhaps incorporate some of those customers in both the city of Globe and town of Miami.
Yes.
Furnish them with sewer that their sewer systems are not furnishing them.
Correct.
At this point in time.
Correct.
And probably can't, or they would have. So the way that you're designing this, it will enable them to be able to have, like this, the people inside the city limits of Globe or Miami or the demographics of, you will be able to pick up a lot of those people that they have not been able to furnish. Is that not
Yes.
correct?
Yes, it is. And we've actually shown, for example, Globe, if you can see where US 60 and 188 come together, and on the east side of 188, those quarter quadrants are actually in the city of Globe. I mean, I guess I could point to it, but no one else is going to be able to see it anywhere else.
That's okay.
Okay. So there are some that are in the district that are currently in the city as well that we are planning on serving. And that hence is kind of, as we mentioned, we're working with Globe to develop an IGA to be able to serve in their DMA.
Right. Okay.
So,
Thank you.
so there's so many things kind of in progress, and
Great.
sometimes I feel like a juggler and I drop something once in a while, but
Sure.
it happens. So then on phase one, I want to talk about phase one kind of in two pieces. The first part is the collection system, to talk about that. The second part will be the treatment facility. And one of the reasons I'm breaking that out is because in our discussions with USDA, and we're meeting with them constantly about the project to keep them up to date where we are and getting feedback and things like that. But it's their suggestion to break the project up when we go to bid in two parts. And one is the collection system and the residential connections. The second one is the treatment facility. So those will be, and actually it works out really well as we go through this. You'll kind of see how that comes together. But the collection system, currently the gravity system, the location of the treatment plant has no impact on the collection system. Everything that drains down the hills, across the tracks, and collects in the lift station that's located on the southeast corner of the ball fields, outside of the ball fields. None of that changes based off of the location of the treatment plant, except for maybe the size of the pumps, right? The size of the lift station. So everything else, and all of that is at about 90% completion as far as design is concerned. And we're in a place where we could get that to USDA to have them start reviewing that, and we're getting that, preparing that for them. And so the biggest thing that we're working with at that point are all the easements. So we're working closely with the county on certain easements for the county, and you all have stepped up to the plate and purchased some parcels from the state and incorporated that into the county, and things like that. And I know Homero's working on that closely to get those finished out. We're also working with Arizona Eastern, so there's about 8 crossings under the tracks, and there's some parallel lines. And that, we've had great conversations with them, and we're probably 80–90% completed with that. So very closely, and the railroads are always a challenge, as you know. We're also working with the mining companies and on some different easements throughout items south of US 60 in phase 1. And if they own a lot of the parcels in there, and then there's just like little places where there's a road or a driveway or something that accesses a house or 2 houses or something like that. And so we're working with them to chip through those and get all of those done. So we're, maybe 50% completed with all of those. So, and then there's about a dozen private easements to access a single home. There might be a parcel in front of it, that we need to get to another home. And so those we're starting to, we've identified them, we know where they are, and we're working through all of those, kind of chipping away at getting those resolved. Ultimately, what has to be provided is a map for USDA, for the district attorney to submit to USDA to say, here's all of our easements, here's what the map looks like, and that we've got everything covered. So, and then once we get to the plant, there'll be the force main that we're going to work with to get those easements that are needed to get that force main to the plant at its location. So the other piece then with the collection system is the resident. I guess I would like to add first, before I go to the residential, is I think the challenges of, you know, all of the easements has been maybe more than what we anticipated, and we're grateful, well, again, with the county helping us with that. But at the end of the day, and I've even talked with Scott about this, is Scott Warren, that things that we're finding that's in the parcel viewer that need correcting, we're keeping track of that list, and I want to sit down with Scott, you know, in a partnering effort to say, here's some things we found that really need to be updated if you want to get your system up to date, which I know he does. So those are some things that we will work with the county to get those squared away. I'd also like to maybe start some of the conversations about phase 2 and 3 because of the length of time it seems to take to get these done, of, you know, maybe identifying some areas that we may need some help with the county in order to stay ahead of the curve on phases 2 and 3, or to jump on that as soon as possible. So it'll be something else. So, so then with the residential connections, there's, to remind you, there's approximately 720 residential connections. And as part of that, we will have the contractor have a right of entry to get into the house, not in the house, but get on the property to make that connection and work with the homeowner. And so one of the things that we want to continue, we've started some conversations with staff about putting together the package that the county wants to see for those permits, and I need to do, you know, kind of back up and do my homework again and look at the forms and everything that's involved with that abandonment and you know, replacement of that line, so that we make sure that we put the package together that's appropriate for the contractor to do for each one of these homes. So that's something that'll just take a little time, and we'll work with Michael and Randy and Jake to get, you know, to get through that. So there was something that came to me just a second ago, and I wanted to mention it, and I lost it. So so with all of that being said, and working with the residents in the collection system, our goal is to have a bid package to USDA this fall, so that then they will take their process of going through all of that, and then they will need all the easements in place, and before they would get give approval to bid the project. And so our hope would be that we would bid it toward, you know, the end of the year, towards the end of the year. I'm not exactly sure how long USDA will take, but if you said, I don't know, 2-3 months, maybe it's not out of line for them, that we would then bid it and then award early 24, and construction could start at that point. So that's our current schedule and where we're trying to get on the project. So then with all of that, then I want to just move, unless there's any questions with any of that. Yes, sir.
The only question I'd have for you, Mike, is you're going to get all the easements in place and secured before you start the project, right, or the process?
The easements?
Yeah.
Yes. So part of the letter of conditions that USDA has submitted to the district and the district has signed is that the easements need to be in place before the project is approved to bid. Mm-hmm. So
the other thing that maybe I spaced it and didn't hear you, but where's the treatment facility going to actually be at?
Okay, so that was my next item, was to talk about the treatment plant. And the site location is not been finalized, and because of a non-disclosure, I can't really even tell you where we're looking at it. So I apologize for that. But with that, there's a lot going on around with that site. There's the environmental report, the engineering report, both have to be amended and submitted to USDA. The survey, the MLD, minor land division, zoning has to be updated with a particular site that we're focusing on at the moment. Geotech has to be done. And then, as I mentioned, the force main that gets from the lift station to the treatment plant. We're working through a layout for that with mining company, and I was out here meeting them on the ground, boots on the ground yesterday, to walk potential routes for that. And so I think this week we'll hopefully hear a lot of good news, and we can move forward. And as soon as we know where that site is, we're going to shout it from the rooftops, because I know everyone is anxious to know where that is. We've also completed a flood study, and we've been working with the floodplain administrator of the county to review that, look at that, and then last but not least, we need, with the survey information and moving forward with that site, we need to design the site. So it's a lot to get done, but it's not that large of a site, and it's not that terribly complicated. Part of what makes this easy is our approach on how we're working through this, and what we have. The approach that we're taking is we've actually put out a request for proposals from different manufacturers of treatment facilities to purchase that treatment facility. And so an RFP was published in early May, and proposals were received in early June. And so we are going through the technical and administrative evaluation of those proposals. And we've established a selection committee for that review, and the selection committee will meet in early July, sorry. And then we'll also present those findings and all of that to USDA to get them on board with the process of that, and hopefully for award of a manufacturer to start to put the shop drawings together and start manufacturing once the shop drawings are approved. And you're like, well, why are we doing all that? Well, the lead times that are on a piece of equipment like that are just crazy now. And it's 10 months where maybe it used to be 6 months. And so that really dovetails in well with the rest of the project, because the collection system will be moving forward and getting done. There's a lot of work there on the main line, and getting through the tracks and going up, all of the different basins that we're going up. And the treatment plant, the contractor that gets that, and we're looking at presenting a bid package in early 24 to USDA for approval to bid. And that treatment plant package will be part of that bid. So the remaining dollars that are on that will be part of the contractors. And so he'll have to coordinate delivery and all of that. And hopefully he has enough time to get all of his site work done, concrete poured, pipes laid, so that when the thing is delivered, he sets it in place, connects, and they're ready to go. So and that's how we're looking at it, and schedules we've laid out. They've really dovetailed well with deliveries and that type of thing. The only other thing that has really kind of been brought up is the long lead times for electrical components, big, control panels, SESs, service entrance sections, and things like that. So it's one of the things that we're also just kind of talking about to say, is that something that we need to go out ahead of time, because they're saying it's 53 weeks for delivery of that stuff. So it really can hamper. We have projects now that they're basically going to get done and stop and wait 2 months till the electrical stuff comes in. So, so we're seeing that. So, that's pretty much, at least kind of in a nutshell, of the work we've completed and where we are with everything, and the work that's still ahead of us. And the majority of the work still ahead of us is hopefully getting the site nailed down very soon and getting that design and getting that moved forward with the collection system in good shape, at least at this point. So,
Sounds good, Mike.
okay.
Supervisor Humphrey, questions?
I have no questions because I speak with you frequently and I speak with Mr. Jock frequently. And so this is something that I'm in great favor of because I think it's great for the community to not be putting all of that sewer into the ground, and also with the water shortage to be able to have a water collection as well as an infrastructure, because there's a lot of those places that people don't live in anymore because their system has failed.
Right.
And if you drive around that area, you can see a lot of older homes. So if their system hasn't failed, that it's possible that it will in the future. And speaking with the health department, I realize that there's a lot of people that are kind of limping right now. We're allowing systems to be pumped and things of that nature, knowing that this is coming, or wishing that it sooner than later. And so it's a great project. Thank you for all the work you do with it. And Robert, thank you very much for volunteering your time to be on the board to help with this. So thank you all very much.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I was telling Jessica and Jeff that early next month, it'll be 11 years that I've been working on the project. So I'm really looking forward to breaking ground at that point.
Yeah,
and I know where the gold shovels are.
Yeah, I've been pushing for 6 myself.
Supervisor Christensen, you have any comments?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Mike and Robert, for coming. So I'm not real familiar with the project, but just maybe to clarify, it's all on septics now. But up in Payson, I remember when the sanitary district wanted to expand and the entire town needed to be off of septics, they assessed each property a certain amount of money. Is that part of your program?
Yes.
To where each property will have
Yes.
a lien put on it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The debt will be paid through the assessment.
Okay.
The other thing, just to clarify, so you know, even of this area, we work closely with the health department, Jake Garrett, and Jim Berry actually was part of that as well at the time. But 70% of the people, the homes in the district, still use cesspools.
Oh.
Right. And another 20% have septic tanks that don't meet today's standards.
Right, obviously it needs to be done, but
Right.
700 plus residents and 35 million. So you just do the math. Is there any other money that comes from the federal government or USDA?
Well, yeah,
or-
so through that assessment process, they were limited to the amount of loan that can be assessed to the people. And it's not just the residents, you have the businesses and
Right,
even vacant property because of increased values, and it's all, isn't it Title 48?
Yes.
You know, Title 48, which is where the district is formed under, it lays out how all of that has to happen. So,
Okay.
and I'm not an attorney, I don't know the details of it.
well, that's helpful. Now I know a
Right.
lot more about it. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
And
So-
Mr. Chair, if I may, while that came up, it stirred something in my mind too, that also too, once the mains are established, then the hookups to the individuals don't cost anything because we're in a colonial. So the people that this will be serving, if they agree to hook up, it costs them nothing, and the project will come in and delete whatever system they have, whether it's a septic tank, cesspool, or whatever. They will delete that and hook them up to sewer with no cost to the
Yes,
property owner.
yes, yes,
So, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great deal, because we're
Yeah.
colonial, because otherwother it could cost a lot to the home.
absolutely,
Right,
absolutely.
very good.
So that would bring up a question to me, Supervisor Humphrey or Mike, that, when you delete those old systems, if they're on septic, current septics, are they talking about actually physically removing the tanks and things like that, or what?
Well, we'll follow the county guidelines on that, which is abandonment in place. Where it's going to be challenging, as we had sent out letters to all the residents in in phase one, and we received not quite half of them back, maybe 45% of them, but there were several of them where their cesspools under their house, or they built a room over their, septic tank, or, so there's going to be some fun things like that. There's even one or two of them where they have 4 or 6 cesspools on their property. So there's going to be some, additional challenges with things like that, but it is what it is. And, we just need to get in and look at the ones that are, type 1, type 2, type 3, if you will, and say, here's what we do, here's what we do, here's what we do. And again, that's where we will work closely with your staff to get that done.
Mike,
So-
thank you guys.
Yeah.
Robert, thank you so much. Do you have something part of
I'm
this?
not coming here not to say something.
I know. It's all yours.
Thank you. He is a tough act to follow. So I'm Robert Jacques, as Tim knows. I'm president of the board of directors, and I just want to say a few things on behalf of the board, if you'll bear with me, gentlemen. So first of all, we want to thank Michael O'Driscoll for inviting TRSC to come make this presentation. It's very important to us that you know about the project and its importance. We thank you supervisors for your active support. That is much appreciated. And I especially want to single out Supervisor Humphrey for his open door policy. He's let me know that if I have any questions, concerns, I should come knock on his door, and I'm going to wear out his door. But it's great to have him as a mentor, if you will, for this project. And then we, as the board, want to thank the staff with Gila County, led by Michael O'Driscoll, Homer Vela, and Jay Garrett, for your untiring support and efforts to make some really thorny problems disappear, or at least alleviate them. So thanks to everybody involved. We wouldn't get this done without your support. Questions come up all the time. Why do we need this project? It's critical to the health and safety of both our district residents and to the environment. Firstly, I don't know whether you gentlemen are aware, but we are, according to Charlene Fernandez, State Director of Rural Development, the largest project of this type in the state of Arizona, and one of the largest projects in the U.S. And that's really quite something when you think about the fact that we will probably approach or slightly exceed a total investment of $100 million for this project, that this whole project is led by a board of 5 members and an advisory team of 5 individuals. And I think in today's day and age, for this small cadre of group of people to lead this project is incredible. And again, we couldn't do it without the support of you individuals. We also understand, I think, very clearly the burden that is placed on us, because without the successful completion of this project, the redevelopment and further development of that non-incorporated area between the city of Globe and town of Miami is very problematic. So again, we understand the burden to successfully completing this. And we also know very clearly from all the work that's been done on this project heretofore, that one, our residents will see a safer condition of living and also a cleaner and healthier environment. When you think about the fact that we will generate at full build out, at least in the near future, 350,000 gallons of effluent a day, that's what's going in the ground right now, either from cesspools directly or as leachate from septic tanks. We will turn that environmental concern into a commodity and Tim, you have touched on this, because of water stewardship, water shortage, that 350,000 gallons will be put to good reuse. And we're also having more than casual conversations with potential users in this area. So we understand our burdens. We also understand the benefits that we can bring to this community, will bring to this community. The project is not without its difficulties. The first one and foremost one is the location of the reclamation facility. If you all have ever read Homer's Odyssey, he wrote that about this project. We have had 4 locations beginning in pre-2018, the location on the westerly flank of Solitude, which unfortunately was removed from consideration because of the work that's taking place on Solitude. We had 2 other locations we looked at. One was difficult because of its logistical location within the community. The second one, or the third one, great site. We cannot use that site because it failed the cultural resource assessment. I have 4,000 people in this district who are living on cesspools and septic tanks, and we could not use a prime site because of something that happened 1,000, 2,000 years ago. I'm not being negative, but I consider that to be not a fair trade. That's my personal opinion. So that's one of the concerns. We're very close to resolving that. The matter of increasing costs, Mike has talked about, that is a concern. The good news is the loan portion of this overall capital cost is fixed, cannot be increased. That means we rely on additional grant monies. And we're very comfortable working with USDA-RD in making that happen. The last issue is not a concern, but something that comes up frequently. I get a little bit tired of it, but I want you supervisors to know this. People ask me, how much have you paid PACE? They haven't done anything. There's nothing to see. Well, to date, from 2012 to date through 13 June, PACE has been reimbursed $3.5 million. $1.1 million of that is related to the pre-design studies and more that took place before we could ever retain an engineering firm to begin design. Of the $2.3 million that remains, just under $500,000 has been paid out to engineering consultants for things like geotechnical investigations, environmental investigations, aerial design and surveys, and underground utility investigations. So over a period of time, PACE has probably been reimbursed maybe $3 million over a period of 12 years for a project that is not easy. Tom O'Halloran, when I first took former Congressman O'Halloran to show him the project, he and his staff were here for a let's get together a meeting, let's find out where you are. I was shocked when Congressman O'Halloran said, this is an easy project. You're not building a skyscraper. If you look at the variety of this project from east to west, north to south, it is very much not an easy project. So I'm pleased to be able to talk to you this morning, gentlemen. I'm thankful for your support. Every day I thank him because we have good people supporting us and we have a good project team. We have 5 board members. We have a board attorney, Michael Harper, whom you may know. We have a financial advisor, Leo Valdez. We have a bond counsel, Tim Stratton. And we have an accountant we brought on board a year and a half ago when we have gone through 2 audits now by Hindfield Meach. The county is familiar with Hindfield Meach. They've done an audit in 2021. It was a baseline. We had received no funding. They've done a full audit single audit because we're now getting funding. We did that in 2022. We have come out looking very good, both those audits. You have the 21 already in your files. We will provide you the 2022 fiscal year 22 audit within the next 2 to 3 weeks. We have come out looking very good on that. No trips to Paris. The only finding they have had is we have not implemented certain financial policies, and we have just completed and they have been approved by the board at our June 20 meeting. We now have those financial policies in place. Lastly, and belatedly, this project would be nowhere without PACE's project manager, Mike Krebs. You all may think he lives and dies on this project, but that young guy works on projects in Yuma, in BOS, in Jerome, well, I don't know if they're doing anything in Flagstaff, over in Shoal, Pine Top, Lakeside. How he sleeps, I have no idea. He spends half his career here on this project in this community. I thank you, gentlemen, for listening to me. It's a pleasure to speak with you. Look forward to your cooperation. If there's anything I can add, probably not, but I'd be glad to.
Thank you, Robert. Supervisor Humphrey, comments?
I'm good. I appreciate your energy and enthusiasm because this is, as you say, a project. And so I very much appreciate your enthusiasm
Thank you.
and interest, very much so.
Me too.
Supervisor Christensen.
Yeah, I have nothing. Thank you for coming. Great
For
presentation.
having me, Steve.
Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen. Big project. So we'll move on to the next one. 2B, information discussion regarding the Facilities and Land Management Department strategic plan.
And if I may throw something in, Mr. Chair, real quick. Yeah, if you notice that what's coming up behind you, it is a new facilities and land management. So they've kind of put facilities and land management together. And this is the gentleman that will be overseeing a lot of the land for Gila County. So meet a new gentleman that will become a part of your life as this project goes forward. And that's all, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Go ahead, Joseph.
Roger that. Good morning, Chairman, Board of Supervisors. So today, as we're getting this slide put up, it's a pretty dense strategic plan, 5-year plan that has been developed by our facilities team. So with it being pretty long, I'm going to dive in where we need to, hit a couple of highlights with it. At any time, if you have any questions or if there's a slide that you find interest in, I'd be happy to dive deeper into it. So throughout the past several years, Hill County Facilities and Land Management Department has experienced tremendous growth since 2019. A multitude of capital projects took place almost every year to accommodate county initiatives and to further community opportunities for constituents utilizing Gila County services. I'm proud to share Facility Management's 2023 strategic plan encompassing the input, time, passion, and energy of more than 90% of our staff. Across the past 6 months, this is truly a collaborative strategy. The development of a new strategy plan started with an organization assessment. And with that assessment, we dove into our operation from our technicians to our staff, our admin staff, and then we also reached out to the county as a whole. So this, to ensure this plan becomes reality, Facilities and Land Management will begin to live our values, engage staff in implementation of our strategic priorities, take action in ways that support our entire team, and measure and celebrate our successes. Each year, we will critically reflect on this plan and make updates, adapt to changing needs, and create new goals. Our strategic plan can and will guide us to achieve our vision to be collaborative, innovative, and inclusive partner that delivers exceptional service to Gila County. So just as I mentioned before, powered by people, this is truly, like I mentioned earlier, a collaborative effort. There's 3 key points that we're going to hit on this is a degree of where we're coming from, where we're at, and where we're going to be going into the future. And that's going to be about us, executive summary, overview of the department, core services, and then we're going to be stepping into our process, strategic plan overview, organizational assessment, and of course our future mission, vision, and values, strategic priorities, plan, implementation, and maintenance. The Facilities and Land Management Department is relatively new with the organizational structure of Hill County government. We are responsible for the maintenance and all buildings owned by Hill County. Currently, we're staffing 27 employees. We're working on 104 buildings and 500,000 total square footage of active square footage. 700 plus acres of active acreage, meaning we are doing something to it for maintenance, whether that's groundskeeping or landscaping and maintenance.
If I could, Mr. Chair, if I could ask a question.
Yes, please.
And it says the properties and the square footage. That includes the buildings that are inhabited by county employees at this time, not necessarily the buildings that we own that we don't have employees in.
That number actually includes both.
So, okay, yeah, because we've got properties in Hayden and Winkleman and places like that, so that's included in these numbers.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Currently, our organizational structure with a lion's share of technicians here in the Globe operation, hubbing out of here, and then also our Payson operation. A couple of additional changes. We've added staffing to support the Young Veterans Retreat, and also have created a project coordinator position, which has been filled and is starting here soon. And that is going to be, without a doubt, a huge support position for all of our capital projects. Something here that we're working on, it really dives into it deeper into the strategic plan, but I do want to highlight here, we are looking at how our senior techs and our junior techs, what that criteria is, and trying to find a way to be able to create a pathway for whether it's our junior techs into a senior tech and some of the other criteria with that. Our core services, operations, maintenance, and utilities, planning and construction, building and landscaping maintenance, and custodial. There's a few things on here that isn't quite covered that we do support with, whether that's support at the ball fields, cleaning up the cemetery, events out at the fairgrounds, and any other operational support for events, whether it's a grand opening or a shovel kickoff. Here's an overview of our process. With the strategic planning cycle, the strategic plan overview, the development of the strategic plan started with the department and countywide assessment of our services, performance, and workforce engagement. Subsequently, we developed our mission, vision, and values to establish the foundation to define our department's purpose, to inspire departmental growth and sustainability, and establish guiding principles for our employees to reflect our overall commitment to our customers. So as we start getting in a little bit further into the strategic plan, you're going to see me kind of push through a couple of these slides. Just keep note, that's how dense this strategic plan is. And that's important because it gives us a map for not just our admin side of it, but also our employees to guide us on this 5-year. Some of the things that we looked at were, from our SWOT analysis, was internal and external opportunities for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities. And of course, it sounds like threats, but we don't view them as threats. We obviously changed that a little bit to challenges and some of the other things that might be opportunities for process improvement. Some of the things that we've implemented over the last year was the technology solutions work order system. We wanted Facilities and Land Management Department that expands across the county. This required a more robust work order system. This system we kicked off about a year ago, and this is how we're extracting a lot of our data points for our resource management. So trying to focus the time, the money, and the resources such as the technicians in the right place. Another technology solution is a project management system. We just kicked that off about 6 months ago, and this is a very streamlined approach. Before we were using Excel spreadsheets, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but there is limitations to that. So we looked at a system that was outside of that and a very robust system at that. The customer analysis and maintenance, a couple of months ago, we went over some of the findings of our customer service survey, and it's important that we're tying that survey into how we're making some of our decisions here, and you're going to see that throughout. So here, just a highlight of 95% overall satisfaction, which is a really great place to be able to start. But we also outlined a few locations or opportunities within our system in personnel for improvement, and some of that was through the custodian services.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
Joseph, so when you say customer, does that mean the county, internal county employees are satisfied?
Supervisor
Very satisfied. That's what you mean?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks.
Yes. Here you're going to see a couple of breakdowns of our financial analysis, breaking it down all the way from the operating supplies, repair and maintenance supplies, utilities. This really helps us start taking the direction that we need with our resources. So when we start looking at some of our initiatives, we know immediately with utilities, 83% of that's going to be electricity. So we're going to be looking at, over the next 5 years, how do we draw that into our predictive maintenance and preventative maintenance? What are some of the solutions we can look at? And some of them are as simple as changing out light switches, making a motion versus on off. So there's just a lot of options out there that we're going to be running through over the next 5 years to see what we can do to start reducing that footprint. So it's not just a number to us, it gives us the ability to make some of our decisions. Operational analysis, this is ensuring that we're driving the initiative for preventative maintenance, but also gives us an understanding of where our resources, once again, need to go or are not going. So it allows us to be able to adjust to it. What's important about this whole strategic plan, you're going to find that we're diving into the numbers on a weekly, monthly basis so that we can stay in tune with it. We don't wait for a 1 year or a 5 year before we start to try and understand our situation.
So Joseph, there's one thing I'm going to point out on this slide,
Yes.
and that is that non-PM bar.
Mm-hmm.
And that's non-preventative maintenance.
Roger that.
And so I've had discussions with Joseph and whatnot, but what it boils down to is we have so much going on with not a very big set of folks to do it, that a lot of the non-preventive maintenance gets pushed aside. Am I correct?
That is correct. Yes, sir.
Or skipped for whatever reason because you guys are swamped.
Yes, sir.
What that leads into is if we skip some of this non-preventative maintenance, all that does is bite us in the hip pockets later on, because it's going to break, things are going to come up, and then it's really going to cause more issues. So I really wanted you guys to point that out so you've seen that and think about that. This is something that I think that's real important to us as a county, is that part of this.
Absolutely, Chairman Supervisor Klein. It's extremely important that we start transitioning as fast as we can into a preventative maintenance. Lightly put, we've had critical infrastructure such as the electrical and some of the others that have already reached a state of disarray. So those are some of the things we're addressing now. The great thing is we're getting a lot of support with resources and funding to be able to start driving some of those initiatives to try and turn this ship around.
This is one that does need turned around. It really does. And so, I don't know. Here in a minute, we're going to have more discussions on this part. It's going to lead back to something else in your presentation. So go ahead, Joseph.
Thank you.
So, excuse me, Mr. Chairman. So, Joseph,
Yes.
what is the reason for that? Is it because you don't have enough staff? You don't have enough resources to to do that?
So we're still crunching the numbers, so I don't want to lead too far into one direction until we have some of the numbers we pulled back.
Right.
But it comes down to efficiency and how we do that within our house before we start looking at pulling in more resources.
Okay.
So that's what we've been smashing the past probably 6 to 8 months, working extremely hard to start streamlining some of the processes, trying to get productivity increased, follow up on some of the work to look at the quality of it. So there's quite a bit that goes into it before I could just say, hey, we just need a couple of guys. But
Yeah, it's
we're
complicated,
close there.
and moving our people up to a senior position, because then they're trained more for the different things. So we have a higher trained person now that can take care of something that prior they weren't able to. So yeah, all of it works together. And I was gonna mention something, I'll do it now, but back on
Yes.
utilities. So just real quick, I'm in the building at TCM all the time, and it seems like the big multipurpose room has the lights on all the time. There's no one in there. So I don't know, that's not burning that much electricity, but still, you know, the lights are on, and I'm thinking, why are the lights on in here all the time? No one's in there.
Yes, sir. Supervisor Christian, that's a good point, and that kind of goes to a perfect example, but then you start looking at countywide. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of locations like that. And that'll be part of our electrical initiative over the next 5 years is to
Okay.
find something. It seems like a little thing, but accumulatively, you can see it's 80% of
It's-
our
yes,
cost.
it's just not efficient. Right.
Yes.
Thanks.
So I'm gonna chime in. I
Yes.
can't help it.
All right.
So, back to your question of why that is. Joseph's right. There's different variables of this and the issues. But one of the issues is us as a board, we don't slow down on our projects. We keep in there. We keep adding things. We keep buying buildings. We keep trying to help people. We keep trying to upgrade something or rebuild a jail facility or whatever it is. I mean, we've been a board that's been very, very active when it comes to facilities. And if you don't believe that, just look back 7 years ago, or 8 years ago, what happened then? Probably not much. What I remember wasn't anything. So we've come a long ways, and we continue to stack these projects on. I, for one, have no intentions of slowing down. The staffing part is very, very important. It's not just a matter of having senior technicians. I mean, we do need that career path for these folks. There's no doubt. I would never want somebody to think we didn't, because we need that. They need that. But the thing of it is if you're running with just a marginal crew, those folks don't have a lot of opportunities to get the training to get to that next step. We can't send them off for a day or 5 days for some kind of certification that they need to advance, because we need them on the job that week. And also, you know, I was talking to some of Joseph's folks one day, and I talked to everybody, but they're packing their cell phones around. And I asked one of them about it, and they said, well, that's where our work orders come through. We get our work orders all day through the phone. One of them said, today I've had 22 work orders. That was for one day. The other one sitting there said, you know, 2 days ago I had 36 work orders. That can be anything from changing a light bulb to fixing a doorknob to opening somebody's locked up office, you know. So it just kind of sets you back in your seat thinking about this and what a handful of our folks are doing to keep this ship afloat. And I think it's time for some real serious conversations on it.
Roger that. No,
So-
someone.
I don't know what you guys think, but that's my opinion
I agree.
on it.
Yeah, we can't, it's a countywide problem with trying to retain, keep, and pay in a fair way. So I spoke to you about that this morning. We're trying to move some of our guys up to senior positions so they can make a decent living and are more trained. But when do they do that training? And how do we
Right.
hire more people if they can work at McDonald's for the same amount and have no training? So
Roger that.
yeah, it's tough, and I know we have a limited amount of money.
Right,
Our people are the strongest part of the county.
I agree.
I think we need to work on efficiency. Because efficiency in the long run gets products done, gets products finished, gets things going forward. And, you know, I mean, we look at the numbers at 75% and 57%. If you were in the private sector, could you make a living at that? No, couldn't. You'd lose your tail. If 25% of your customers didn't pay you because they weren't happy, you couldn't make it in that world. And understand this isn't the private sector, but efficiency, in my opinion, just would make for more satisfaction and better project productivity. And I understand what you say. We start working in-house before we try to grow. I have a great appreciation for that. For instance, I showed up at one of the buildings, and there was 3 trucks, 3 guys, and 1 light taken apart. 2 guys were on their phone. And I said, so you're doing electrical today? And it says, yeah, we didn't have the part to fix it, so we wired it direct. And the guy with the screw to put it back together has gone to lunch, so when he gets back, we'll put it back together. And me as a general contractor thinking, wow, I couldn't pay for 3 guys to wait for a screw for somebody to come back for lunch. And I'm not saying that to throw rocks. I'm saying that because I understand the efficiency part and working for it and education and performance education. And I think you get what you expect. And if that's expected, then that's the product you're going to get. Mm-hmm. And if that's not what you expect, then you'll get different. And so, you know, I appreciate you saying that, you know, we need to work in-house before we can grow, because I have a great appreciation for that. So, Mr. Chair, that's all I have.
Roger that. I really appreciate the input. The good news, working with Michael, he's tasked me with trying to gather some of the information that's needed for us to kind of step forward. And it really solves all of those points, to include trying to solve some of this expectation or some of our processes and how we do things in-house also. So with that being said, once we get that data collected, I think we're going to be able to know not only if we need more manpower, more efficiencies, but we're also going to need to know where and how and the quantity. If we need to add more personnel to the team, we can legitimately put a recommendation together saying that quantity matches the key performance indicators. And that would leave us confident with, you know, our next 5 years to be operational, not having to come back again and again because we under-resourced again, or lost productivity because we over-resourced. So hopefully over the next couple of weeks, we'll have some of that data put together, and we'll be able to share it.
Go ahead for now, Joseph.
All right. So we kind of briefly went over where we've been and where we're currently at. With our future, we're committed to making sure our mission, vision, and values are true embodiment of our day-to-day culture, represent the principles that will guide our future growth. And this kind of goes back to your point, Supervisor Humphrey, is where are we taking it? So we are always going to have challenges, whether it's dwell time in between work orders or sometimes inefficiencies in manpower. You never get rid of that 100%, but with our mission, vision, and values, it's going to allow us to start changing that mindset. And we're also looking at our strategic priorities that we're going to cut through real quick here in a minute. And that's going to allow us to start making sure that tire is hitting the ground when it comes to some of our operations. Where if we do have a deficiency, it's not a pattern, it's an outlier. Somebody needed some help or some other circumstance. So again, 5-year plan. It's going to take some time to change the way we think and the way we operate. So there's a lot of challenges that are going to be laid in front of us. That is for sure. But we welcome them. Some of the areas of focus are going to be the customer service, investing in our employees, strategic management practices, asset inventory management, strengthen project delivery, workplace safety, and emergency preparedness. These next slides outline some of those priorities. I'm going to cut through them pretty quick here because it really, again, creates a map for our department and for stakeholders to understand, are we on track? Are we going in the same direction that we laid out in 5 years ago, 4 years ago? And is that what it's supposed to be? So I won't dive in too far unless there's questions. Priority number 1 is create a culture of customer service and excellence and continuous improvement, and some of the objectives to go with it. And then again, priorities and goals and initiatives and metrics that we use to do ops checks if we're on track. Priority number 2, investing in our people. The priority will focus on creating an environment that enables all employees to succeed in their positions and promoting a culture of engagement, diversity, communication, and accountability. Some of the priorities and some of the goals with priority 2 and objectives, and some of the initiatives and metrics. Priority 3, building strategic management practices. This priority will focus on enhancing strategic planning, budgeting, funding, and performance management process to better align resources and priorities countywide and improve monitoring of our progress. And some of that's going to be whether we're doing little spot checks on some of the repairs or doing site visits for maintenance. Priority 4, improve workplace safety and emergency preparedness. This priority will focus on improving safety and security measures in all county buildings, enhancing workplace safety program development of an emergency preparedness and response program. Again, the objectives that are going to go along with that, and some of the goals and metrics to track it along. Priority number 5, strengthening project delivery. This project will examine project delivery approaches and implement changes that improve outcomes and stakeholder satisfaction. Again, the objectives and some of the goals that are underneath priority 5. Priority number 6, improve asset and inventory management. This priority will focus on improving our internal facility management processes, enhance our preventative maintenance program, lower maintenance costs, and improve access to tools, equipment, and spare parts inventory. So with all of those goals and objectives, if you notice, it was centered around a lot of our people. Not only how do we support them and hold them accountable, but how do we start to progress them where we are going in the next 30 years? Whether it's education, the tools, or some of the other ways that we're trying to support our employees, that's the center of where we're going with everything. So if we're looking at equipment, we're looking at the metrics, we're looking at the numbers, but we're also looking at the people. Are they qualified? Are they going to be safe about it? And a few other metrics that we're looking at. Here is the plan implementation. Again, this just kind of captures how we're going to move forward with this. I'm sure you've seen many times where there's a plan, but how do we measure if we're on that pathway? How do we know we're going to meet our end goal? The reason this is so robust is because we are putting those waypoints along our way so that we can be able to know, are we on track? Do we need to deviate from it? Or are we behind, so we need to change something? And again, this is a working document. So anytime we identify some deficiencies or something that needs to get us back on track, or maybe we need to change the approach slightly, this is a working document. And we have planned maintenance to go along with that. That's the conclusion of the slide. I'm sure there's a few questions that were hanging out there. I'd be happy to answer them.
Supervisor Humphrey?
No, I have no questions. It's just like, being self-employed my whole life. I can. Don't tell me why I can't. I mean, I'll figure out a way. And so that's just how I'm geared. And so I appreciate very much that you have put together a 5-year plan to realize that there are issues and to work with those issues. And you have 100% of my support. If they need training, if we need to do something, you have my support, because I very much appreciate if everybody says, well, everything's perfect, well, you're lying. And so by creating a strategic plan and realizing that there's issues and being willing to work on those issues, I appreciate it very much. So thank you, and anything I can do to help, I would be happy. And you know, I threw in a little negative comment, and that's not for apologies. That's just for an example of improvement. And you know, that's just kind of how I look at myself every day. And so, like I say, I appreciate you putting a plan together and being willing to admit that there's issues, and let's work with the issues. And as I say, you have my support, so I appreciate it.
Roger that.
Call
Supervisor Humphrey,
anytime.
I appreciate the support, and I also appreciate any kind of constructive criticism, always.
Supervisor Christensen?
Thank you, Chairman. Joseph, thanks for the presentation. So my only thing is, this all looks great. It's a good plan. You have a plan. You have ways of measuring your success and all of that. But the 5-year thing to me seems more like it should be 5 months. You should get after this sooner rather than later, and it needs to be, and it's achievable. I realize there's going to be some things that take longer, but when it comes to solving some of the issues we've already discussed, those are your priorities. Just get that done. Get our employee where they need to be, get as many as we need, and we need to pay for it. We need to do whatever. We need to know from you what is needed to succeed at this plan. And I, for one, don't want this to be a 5-year project. It needs to be done like now. You're identifying problems that have existed for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. So I don't want them to exist any longer. And I think we're in a position, the board is, and the county is in a position to say, okay, we have a momentum of improvement. So ride that wave, ride that momentum, and we'll support you in it, or I will.
Roger that. I
Thanks.
greatly appreciate the input and the support, Supervisor Christensen.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I don't disagree with what he just said. I don't. And I think as a board, I think some of this could be pointed at us too, for the fact that we fight for and push for higher wages, and we do some things, but I don't know if we've really just sit out there and said how much we support you guys. And I think, I don't know, hopefully I see it from today's meeting that, you have a lot of support sitting right here. And I really don't see any reason to dilly-dally around with anything. We have maybe a few kinks to work out, but overall, everything that you discussed in this PowerPoint, to me, evolves around your people.
Yes.
And if we're not supporting those people and helping them do whatever they need done, then I think we're failing. And so that's what I see. I think if we get you to where you need to be with your team, the rest of it's going to go away. And when I look at customer satisfaction, this is one thing that I look at from my standpoint. I look at it, in different ways. There's some people you just dang sure can't satisfy. I don't care what you do, There's other reasons for somebody to be dissatisfied. Maybe it's a timing matter. You weren't there quick enough, or whatever it is. So, you can look at statistics, you can look at numbers, and you can kind of, feel your way through that. But what I really see is your team as a whole is what I feel like as in my position on this board, I would really support you building that up and getting that going. Because right, wrong, or indifferent, there's 7 of you guys on this crew right now. And somebody mentioned, the fairgrounds. Well, we've had the fairgrounds forever, but it's sat there. It's sat there for 7 years, and we didn't do a damn thing with it. And now we've got it. It's almost like a whole new project, We've added the vet center up there. We have tons of stuff going on in Payson. And so there's a lot to this. But overall, Joseph, you guys need to understand I'll support you from whatever angle I can when it comes to you and your team. So thank you for this.
Roger that. Thank you, Chairman Supervisor Klein. Again, I appreciate the input and the support.
You're welcome. I'll give you a longer list after the meeting.
Roger that. All right. Thank you.
All right, moving on to 2C. Information discussion regarding status updates on the Information Technology Department cybersecurity. Carrie, good morning.
Good morning, Chairman, Board of Supervisors. Daryl and I are honored to share our team is working to encourage secure internet practices and protect the cyber landscape of our Gila County. We do a lot within our department trying to keep this county secure, and we're doing as much training as we can. You know, personnel, as we're sending emails out, and we're doing quite a bit. And I have Daryl with us, and he's gonna kind of go over a slideshow we have with you and kind of explain what we're doing as far as to try and keep the county as secure as we can. So.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I think some people thought I never worked here, but I'm actually here. There's an ongoing joke that I actually had pants on today. Good morning, and just want to. Is it hard to hear? Okay. There we
You
go.
can just move that to the side or something, that little deal up on the top of your
This,
microphone.
yeah,
There
the
you go.
microphone.
There
There
you
we go. Can you guys hear me okay? Is that better, Joseph? You good? Okay. All right. Yeah, so you probably noticed there was some Swedish fish on your desk this morning. Yeah, we don't click on fish, we eat them. So that's just a nice little reminder of with a delicious treat. So anyways, getting started. Joseph, cybersecurity. Currently, we're doing awareness and training, but in 2022, cyber attacks rose 38% over the previous year. So they're on the rise, and currently, even in quarter one of 2023, there's already been a 7% increase. So it's a real problem. According to Forbes, over 700,000 unfulfilled cybersecurity positions are currently unfilled in the United States alone, which leads me to it takes everyone to be cyber aware. We all need to just be, vigilant and aware of what's out there, and think before we click. Never trust, always verify is my motto. So, a lot of garbage out there. Next slide, please. Yeah, so just in a 30-day period, you could see some of the stuff that we've protected our users, our end users from a technical perspective. Okay, you could see there was 14 viruses. Nobody ever saw those. They never got through. Okay, 125 malicious URLs that could cause us to get breached and hacked. So there's a lot going on the back end protecting our users and our network, but nothing's 100%. They're getting smarter. They're using a lot of different resources and tools to penetrate and to basically infiltrate our network and cause a lot of problems, cost us a lot of money. So it's just good that you guys are aware of what we're doing, and the users are being trained, and we're really focusing on end user training and awareness. A study from Stanford revealed that 88% of data breaches were caused by employee mistakes. So 88%. Aligning all employees around awareness practices and processes to keep the organization safe. It's not just a technical problem, it's also an organizational one. So we need to keep that in mind. Cybersecurity requires awareness and action from all members of the organization to recognize these anomalies and alert us of those threats, and so we can mitigate those threats. A cybersecurity culture, it's beliefs and values which motivate behaviors, cybersecurity behaviors. Employees not only follow their job requirements, but also consistently act to protect the organization's assets. is vital. So it doesn't mean that everyone's gonna be a cybersecurity expert. We're not asking people to do that. We're not punishing people if they do click on a link. We're just trying to bring awareness to the county and to the end users that this stuff is out there and it could cost us a lot of money and problems. So, next slide, please. What can we do to combat this? Next slide. Again, we spoke about internal training. New employees are automatically enrolled in training and awareness, and since March we've done over 30 different campaigns to different departments and offices. If you've been caught, just know it's a tool to teach. It's not to, you know, humiliate. It's truly just, hey, okay, well, next time I could look a little closer, you know. So we're truly doing it just to bring training and awareness to our end users. We don't go and, oh, did you see who clicked? I mean, it's nothing like that. It has nothing to do with that. It just truly is awareness, and you know, so and pretty down low on the back end. I don't share that information. We don't share that information. It's just, okay, well, now we learned something, you know, that's all it is. And we've put out some difficult campaigns, so, you know, I mean, they're not always easy, you know, we're doing that intentionally, you know. The hackers aren't gonna be nice about it, you know. They really, truly, their job is to make money. And if they could get you to click on that link and the other protections you have in place don't stop that threat, then we have a problem on our hands. So, next slide, please. Pamphlets, we've Cassie created a trifold. She's up in Payson, and that trifold basically just gives new employees, you know, hey, here's some tips, tools, you know, something to think about. Just gives them an idea when they come on board for the onboarding process. They get this pamphlet, they can read through it. It really is just kind of, hey, introducing them to what's out there and what to look for, and of course, a contact information for the cybersecurity group. Next slide, please, Joseph. Yeah, we have layered defenses. Our team, we're actively threat hunting, you know, running vulnerability scans, monitoring different resources. We're tied to, I won't mention names, but some very important agencies that provide that information for us to keep us on our toes, and so we know what's out there, kind of that 0 day, you know, just notifications. So, we also send every morning a daily security report to our team. Our team reads through it. They know what's out there, and we might identify something that could potentially be a risk to our organization. So we're very proactive. We try to mitigate any threats before they become, you know, an attack. So we see indicators of attacks and we will block them. So, and that is basically all I have as far as the layered protective measures that we have in place. I won't be detailed on what we're using, what products we're using, how we're layering that particularly, but to give you guys an idea, it's kind of like a multi-layered approach. It's referred to maybe sometimes as the castle approach, because it mirrors the layered defenses of like a medieval castle, to avoid external attacks. So those are some of the things we're doing without putting too much information out there for the public. But we have done a lot. We've gotten better, and we still have a long ways to go. But I welcome any questions, concerns, comments from any of you all.
Supervisor Humphrey?
I have no comments. I appreciate all the hard work in keeping the county and its system safe. And IT is probably the worst thing in my life. I don't know much about any of it. I can build houses, I can weld, I can do taxidermy, I can do everything except use my cell phone. So I appreciate you helping defend me from the things that I'm completely unaware of.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you very much.
Yes, sir.
Supervisor Christensen.
Thank you. Thanks for the presentation. You guys have a hard job. And like Supervisor Humphrey, I don't understand all of that, and that's why we have you guys. Well, one thing that I did notice when the State Auditor General was here, that most counties are behind what they view as the standard that they're after, and so there's a finding that you need to improve this, improve that. So how are we ranking in that, at that level, to achieve what the Auditor General would be happy with? How close are we to that?
I would probably say, it changes every year.
Right.
Honestly, so.
It's always a moving target.
It's kind of a moving target.
Yeah.
If I were to put a percentage on it, I'd say, we're 85%. Do I see discrepancies? Do I see holes? Maybe things that they haven't even seen, that I could construe as a potential risk, right? And so, every year it's something different, and some of the questions and some of the findings would be different than the following year. I think working with Carrie and getting some of our policies kind of in line, in tune, is going to help us as well. But I'd say about, right now, probably about 85%.
Okay, so if we have this much to go, do you need more money, more staff, more planning, more, why aren't we closing, are we closing that gap? How are we doing it? What's the plan?
Yeah, we've been closing that gap
Okay.
for the last 3.5 years.
Okay.
And certainly we've even been recognized that where we were from the auditors to where we are now has been a drastic
Good.
improvement.
I'm glad to hear that, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So I don't think we'll ever really totally close that gap, even from their own words, standing right there where you are. They mentioned, that's just such a moving target from year after year that my interpretation of what they were saying was nobody's going to get there. We just do the best that we can, stay on top of it as much as we can, and cross our fingers. Because we've all lived through those days, and it wasn't fun. So thank you both for what you do. You guys have a very important role in keeping us up and going. So
Appreciate
Thank
your
you.
support. Thank
Yeah.
you, guys.
I just wanted to make sure that y'all know, please at any time call us. I don't care if it's after hours. If you have a question about an email or anything with your computer or anything, we're available 24/7. We want to make sure that, if you have a concern, don't wait. Don't, feel that you can't call us, because we are always open to calls. We
Cool.
want to make sure that everybody feels comfortable calling us at any time, so.
thanks, you guys.
And Mr. Chair, and she means that because I do. I have a lot of issues, and I don't hesitate in picking up with my issues.
Carrie's on speed dial.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
100.
Michael, do you have something?
That's real. That is 100% correct.
Go ahead, Michael.
Good morning, Chairman and members of the board. One of the issues that was brought up in this discussion is the Auditor General and some of their findings. In the last couple of years, they have given a list of recommendations to our IT department for internal policies, procedures to follow. And so I want this board to know that Carrie and Daryl and their staff have created and finalized those policies and are implementing them this week. So starting July 1st, we'll have those implemented, so hopefully we won't have those findings next year on the audit.
No, that's good. I'm glad. Thanks to both of you and your whole crew. So appreciate it. All right, Carrie, stay right where you're at.
I'm not going nowhere.
2D, information discussion regarding status updates on digitization projects. And Carrie, you're it. Along with Michael, I think.
I appreciate your dedication in discussing the advantage of digitation in the Gila County and the protection of our important records. So digitation means means turning information into digital form. It helps organizations become more efficient and save money and quickly access information. So it's pretty much taking your physical documents and turning them into digital. So there's many benefits of digitizing, but how exactly can it help with us? Well, it can increase efficiency and productivity. It makes it easier to search records instead of having to go through files. Enhance transparency and accountability through digital records and keeping, and improve accessibility. So being able for, you know, and hopefully eventually being able for the public to be able to search these records. You know, it doesn't take up the time of your employees to be able to have to go through and search files and stuff. So it reduces the need for physical storage space. This means no more record filing shelves, overflowing filing cabinets, or heavy boxes that occupy office spaces. It increases employee efficiency. Instead of digging through paper documents, searchable digital images can be retrieved in mere moments. Digital files stored in a cloud environment make collaboration, remote work, and backup possible. Digitizing records also help boost the security of those files, especially if they contain sensitive information. Password-protected files reduce the chance of documents being released, hacked, or stolen. It can also help to decrease our environmental footprint. Paper impacts the environment, and managing documents digitally reduces the paper waste as is more environmentally friendly. Digitizing records. Currently, we have a few departments that are working on digitation. Community development is one of our major ones right now. They're in the process of finalizing, getting the quotes and everything to be able to submit to you guys. The assessor's office is also working on that. Sheriff's office is working on digitation. They're digitizing a lot of their stuff into Spillman. That way, everything is accessible. You know, even when the deputies are out on the road and stuff, they can pull up the information they need. Health department has been working on digitation for years now, actually. They've been digitizing a lot of their health records and stuff. So scanners, we've been deploying scanners throughout the county with ARPA funds. Community development, the assessor's office, and the sheriff's office. We've also given scanners to the clerk of the court, and then another department that I can't remember right now. Yeah, I'll think of that one. Sorry about that. Oh, here we go. The sheriff's office, community development, clerk of the court, and the assessor's and constable's office. So. And virtual faxing, we have implemented virtual faxing in the county. Virtual faxing eliminates the analog lines, so it'll eliminate the costs of those lines. And then it also makes it where you have all your documents searchable. So if you send a fax and then 6 months later you come to me and say, can you pull up a fax that I sent 6 months ago? Absolutely. And another thing, those are backed up within our backups also. So whereas on your physical fax machines, you don't have that capability, you know. So going digital with faxing is a lot easier, and it's a lot cheaper too. So. So aside from a few adjustments and additions, 95% of Gila departments have been transitioned to the virtual faxing with astounding success rate. Everybody seems very happy with the virtual faxing. So we have a few departments that we still have to get into the virtual faxing, but thank you for our journey on this journey to explore the world of digitation. We hope we found it informative and inspiring, and if you have any questions or comments for it.
Thank you, Carrie. Supervisor Humphrey. Only comment, and thank you very much. I think we're late on doing this. I mean, I've seen filing cabinets with rats nest in them, and that information is no longer, it's gone forever. Yeah. And so this is a great way to preserve the information that we have and need, and going into the future, then not need all the storage space and facilities that you can't maintain anyway, as far as temperature control and things of that. So thank you very much, and it's an uphill battle, And, but I appreciate you helping us get better at what we do.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you.
Supervisor Christensen.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Carrie. So, yeah, I'm glad to hear that it's moving along at the pace it's moving.
Yes, sir.
And it's so necessary, and it's not only going to just make things convenient for us, it's going to make things convenient for the public, too.
Correct.
And they're going to be able to access things through community development and all that without having to walk in and find where the big roll of paper is. And so that's really neat. So, and then you're also working on trying to keep all this information safe at the same time.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. With the digitization, it will be in the cloud. A lot of it is going into the cloud, but we will be also backing. They have backups of it. We will also be backing that data up
Yeah.
also. So we have multiple backups of the data and recoverability of it. So
Now, I know it's ongoing, there's always going to be ongoing, but where do you think you're going to reach, how long before you reach the tipping point of getting all the past digitized and then just, where you're just maintaining? Another year, another?
I'd say probably another couple years. It's going to
Okay.
take a while for the company. So the company that like ComDev is working with they're stating it. I'm saying it's probably going to be about a year out before they're able to digitize all of those records. So
Okay, thanks.
Carrie, thank you.
yes, sir.
Good information, and appreciate it, so.
Not
good
a
job.
problem. All
Thanks
right.
so much to both of you.
All right. Thank you.
All right, moving on to number 3, call to the public. Do we have any call to the public in Payson?
No, sir.
Okay, and anybody on YouTube, Joseph? How many did we have today?
Maximum 22.
Oh, good. And we have none here. So moving on to number 4, updates. Michael, you want to start with managers' updates?
No, I just, Chairman, members of the board, just add on to what Carrie was saying is, I believe next month, we're going to have in front of the board to consider the contract with the state contractor for digitizing the on-site wastewater department files as well as community development files. These are the ARPA funds. So we're going to move forward with that. Several millions of individual papers have to be scanned and digitized. So in order for IT and our staff to get prepared for this, as Carrie mentioned, we had to provide cloud services. We have to provide storage space, and we also have to logistically work with the company to come on up and, gather the files, deliver the files to Phoenix where they're at so they could scan it, and also work with the state records department to find out what particular documents we have to keep and how many years we have to keep it. So if we have some documents that are required by law to keep, we'll still have to store those. But the goal here is, as Supervisor Christensen mentioned, with the system that's going to be uploaded to into what's called Track It, we're going to be allowing public to access their own files. So if you're a homeowner and you want to know what permits have been issued on your property, you'll be able to get those emailed to you through this system. So you'll no longer have to come in to the office and have our staff go and try to find these files, make copies for you, and give them to you. And that could take several hours, sometimes even a couple days to get those documents. So efficiency-wise, this is going to be a really good project to move forward with. So I just wanted to give that information out.
Thank you, Michael. Supervisor Humphrey.
No, I'm good. I attended the Town of Miami Mayor and Council meeting last night, and then last week I attended the City of Globe Mayor and Council meeting. So just staying in touch with what's going on and still have my public meetings. So just trying to get in front of as many of the constituents and things going on in my district as I can.
Good deal. Supervisor Christensen.
Thank you. Don't have a lot. Yesterday was the monthly Republican luncheon. Bradley Beauchamp was the speaker. Usually the luncheon lasts an hour, so 2 hours later he was finally done presenting. So, but very interesting. Talked about a lot of different things. So, and then this is a ways out, but I'm planning on having another town hall meeting in Pine, August 8th. So we're gonna try and have a lot of different representation there for that. So we're starting to plan that right now. That's all I have. Thanks.
Good. Thank you, Steve. I don't have a whole lot. We've had a local brush pit up there that was shut down here a while back because people are trashing up there. I got with a group of locals yesterday, and they're gonna resurrect that and monitor that, so trash out of it, or they can keep the trash out of it. So that's gonna open up this coming Saturday, and then I have a little bit of an NRCD update for you guys. The Tunnel NRCD is in the middle of applying for a grant through DIFM for some invasive species management, and so they're working on that real hard right now, trying to get that up and running. The seed harvester was purchased and delivered. It's sitting in Young right now. Really cool piece of equipment, and as far as I know, the only one in Arizona, so looking forward to playing with that. That's gonna be really cool. I see good things coming there. And other than that, I think that's all I had. Anything else for you guys?
I'm good.
You're
Mr.
good?
Chair, thank you.
So with that, I think we're all good. Everybody's set, so we'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you.